So ever since I started photographing, I've always been interested in the rule of thirds. My dad taught me the rule of thirds, and everybody talks about it. You hear it as like the rule of composition. And one thing that I was interested in is looking at what are thought of as the great photographs in the history of the medium, going through the work of the great photographers and seeing how they applied the rule of thirds, if they did at all. And I kept noticing that the best photographs didn't apply it. And the one that really struck me the most was Ansel Adams' Moonrise Hernandez, which is just like, that is truly a masterpiece of a photograph. And the thing that is most interesting to me about that picture is where the moon is. If you look at Moonrise Hernandez, it doesn't follow the rule of thirds. The moon is not in the center, and it's not in one of the thirds points. And the moon is in exactly the right place. And I've even tried around in Photoshop moving the moon to the thirds points, and when you put it there, it's totally wrong. So I looked for the longest time at that picture and thought about what is the relationship of the moon to the rest of the picture, and why is it so perfect right where it is. And the idea that I came up with is it's not in the center, and the thirds points are too far away from the center. That's what I've always thought about the rule of thirds, is that if you think of the thirds points as being the most important places in the composition, they're actually too far away from the center. And so the idea that I came up with is Ansel's moon in that photograph is gravitationally related to the center. It's sort of like, you know, those astronomical videos you see or images you see of the center of gravity between the sun and Jupiter. It's like somewhere out near the sun, but it's not halfway to Jupiter. It's not a third of the way to Jupiter. It's gravitationally related to the center of the sun, but it takes into account the gravity of Jupiter. And that's a compositional principle that I really love. It's like when I'm placing a horizon, if I'm taking a photograph looking out to sea and I'm thinking, where should the horizon be? If I put it on the thirds point, it never looks right. It's either too high or too low. It gives too much emphasis. If the horizon's on the lower thirds point, it gives too much emphasis to the sky, and the whole ocean seems secondary. And if I put the horizon on the upper thirds point, it gives too much emphasis on the ocean, and the sky seems secondary. And I want those things to relate to each other, but if you put it exactly in the middle, then there's something about that feels unsettling to me. So I always have the horizon just ever so slightly above or below the center in that same relationship as Ansel's moon, gravitationally related to the center. So give that one a try and see how it works in your work, and then look at other people's work, because that'd be a super cool conversation for us to have. Look forward to reading your comments.